Imagine you're standing in the middle of Nevada, desert as far as you can see, heat waves shimmering off the sand, not a drop of water anywhere. Now imagine someone tells you, let's pump the entire Pacific Ocean here, create artificial lakes bigger than Rhode Island, turn the desert into a beach resort. You'd think they're crazy, right? Well, that's exactly what some people want to do. And they say it'll only cost $16 billion. But here's the thing. Last time someone accidentally created a lake in a desert nearby, it turned into a toxic wasteland that's poisoning people to this day. So, we try it again? On purpose? With $16 billion? Let's find out. The wild idea. Okay, so let me explain what these people actually want to do. There's this proposal called the Little Pacific. When I first heard about it, I thought it was a joke. But they're dead serious. The plan is simple. Well, simple to explain. Insanely complicated to actually do. Step 1. Build huge desalination plants on the California coast. These take salty ocean water and remove the salt, making it drinkable. Step 2. Pump that fresh water 170 miles inland, uphill, over mountains, through the desert, into Nevada. Step 3. Fill up ancient dried lake beds that haven't seen water in thousands of years. The end result? Nevada suddenly has 1,500 square miles of lakes, beaches, boats, maybe even fish, in the middle of the freaking desert. When I first read about this, my immediate thought was, wait, can you even do that? Turns out, maybe, but probably not. And definitely not for $16 billion. The money problem. Let's talk about the price tag for a second. They claim this whole thing would cost $16 billion. Here's how they break it down. $4 billion for solar panels to power everything. $4 billion for desalination plants. $6 billion for all the pipes, canals, and infrastructure to move the water. $2 billion for pumping stations to push water uphill. Now, I need to be honest with you. These numbers are complete fantasy. Why? Because in the history of massive construction projects, the early estimate is always wrong. Always. Remember California's high-speed rail? They said $33 billion. It's now over $100 billion, and it's still not finished. Or the Big Dig in Boston? Estimated at $2.6 billion. Final cost? Over $15 billion. So when someone tells you they can pump the ocean 170 miles inland for $16 billion, just laugh. It would probably cost $50 billion. Maybe $100 billion. Who knows? How they say it'll make money. But wait, the supporters say, this isn't just about water. We can make money. When you desalinate ocean water, you're left with super salty brine. Usually, that's just waste. But they claim you can extract valuable minerals from it. Lithium for electric car batteries, magnesium, rare earth elements. So the desalination plant also becomes a mining operation. Genius, right? Plus, they say, imagine all the money from new farms in the desert, beach resorts and hotels, tourism, real estate around the new lakes. They throw around phrases like economic benefits measured in the trillions. And I'm like, based on what? Where are these trillions coming from? It all sounds great until you start asking basic questions. The actual status of this project. So, with all this promise, how far along is construction? Let me check. Oh, wait, there is no construction. As of January 2026, this project has 0 government funding, not a dollar, 0 permits. They haven't even applied. 0 environmental studies, required by law, but nope, 0 political support. No governor backing it, no senators, nobody. 0 construction timeline, because there's no project. It's literally just an idea that some people put on the internet. That's it. Sure, it got some YouTube videos made about it, some articles written, but in terms of actual progress, nothing. And honestly, there's a good reason for that. Why this is actually impossible. Let me explain the biggest problem with this whole idea. Nevada is hot, like really hot. Summer temperatures regularly hit 110 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes more. Now, what happens to water when it's sitting in a giant lake in 110-degree heat? It evaporates fast. Nevada has some of the highest evaporation rates in the entire country. So even if you somehow pump billions of gallons into these lake beds, the water immediately starts disappearing into the air. You'd have to keep pumping more water in, constantly, forever, just to keep the lakes from drying up. It's like filling a bathtub while someone's pulling the drain plug. You're fighting physics, and physics always wins. The salt trap. But wait, it gets worse. These proposed lakes would have no outlet. Water flows in, but it doesn't flow out to the ocean. But what happens to all the minerals and salt in the water? They stay and concentrate. Year after year, the water evaporates, but the salt doesn't. The lakes get saltier and saltier. Eventually, they become more salty than the ocean, then twice as salty, then toxic. Fish die, plants die, the whole ecosystem collapses. You end up with a poisonous dead zone in the middle of the desert. Wait, you might be thinking, that sounds like a nightmare. Has that ever actually happened? Oh yeah, let me tell you about the Salton Sea. The Salton Sea, a warning from history. This story is wild. Back in 1905, engineers were digging an irrigation canal from the Colorado River to California farmland. Everything was going fine. Then the Colorado River flooded. It ripped through their dam and started pouring into a massive depression in the desert. And it didn't stop. For 2 entire years, the river dumped water into this hole. By 1907, there was a brand new lake, the Salton Sea, completely by accident. At first, everyone thought it was amazing. People built resorts, hotels, marinas, fishing camps. By the 1950s, the Salton Sea was the booming tourist destination. More visitors than Yosemite. People came from all over to this California Riviera. But here's the problem. The lake had no outlet. Water came in from farm runoff, but it never flowed out. The desert sun evaporated the water. The salt, pesticides, and fertilizers stayed behind. Every year, the water got saltier and saltier and saltier. Fish started dying. First a few, then thousands, then millions. Dead fish piling up on the beaches. The smell of rotting fish so bad you could smell it miles away. Tourists stopped coming. The resorts closed. The whole area turned into a ghost town. Today, the Salton Sea is an environmental disaster. The water is twice as salty as the ocean. Almost nothing can live in it. And as the water level drops, the exposed lakebed releases toxic dust into the air, chemicals, pesticides, heavy metals. The surrounding communities, mostly poor families, have some of the highest rates of childhood asthma in America. Kids getting sick, people with breathing problems, all because of this accidental lake. The Salton Sea wasn't planned. It was a mistake. Nevada's Pacific Pipeline would be the same mistake, but on purpose and bigger. Failed water dreams. This isn't the first time someone had a crazy idea about moving water around the West. Back in 1964, there was a proposal called NWAPA, North American Water and Power Alliance. Plan? Take water from Alaska and Canada, build a massive system of canals and pipes, and send it all the way down through the western United States. The scale was insane. We're talking 8,000 miles of infrastructure, 369 different components, $100 billion in 1960s money. That's $1.5 trillion today. People seriously considered this. What happened? It failed completely. Canada said, "No way are you taking our water." Environmental groups protested. The cost was impossible. States couldn't agree on anything. By the 1970s, the whole idea was dead. And it's not the only one. There were proposals to pump the Columbia River south, move Mississippi River water west, create dozens of massive canal systems. Every single one failed. Too expensive, too complicated, too much opposition. The ones that worked. Now, to be fair, some water projects actually succeeded. The Colorado River Aqueduct was built in the 1930s. It moves water 242 miles to Los Angeles. Cost a fortune. It took years. But you know what? It still works today. The California State Water Project moves water 700 miles across the state. Built in the 1960s and 70s. Still operating. Why did these work when others failed? Because they had real political support from state governments, realistic engineering within proven technology, clear benefits that justified the cost, agreements between all parties involved. Nevada's Pacific Pipeline has none of these. What Nevada really needs. Look, Nevada's water problems are real. Lake Mead is dropping. The Colorado River is stressed. Las Vegas is growing. They need solutions. But pumping the ocean 170 miles inland isn't it. You know what's actually working? Las Vegas recycles almost all its indoor water. Toilets, sinks, showers. It all gets treated and reused. They're really good at this. Conservation programs, better irrigation, drought-resistant landscaping, agreements with other states to share the Colorado River more efficiently. These aren't sexy. They don't make headlines, but they work. They're real solutions to real problems, not fantasy mega projects that would probably turn into environmental disasters. The bottom line. So here's where we are in January 2026. Some people want to spend $16 billion, probably more like $50 to $100 billion, to pump ocean water into the Nevada desert and create artificial lakes. They claim it'll be amazing, an economic boom, a desert paradise. But we've seen this movie before. It's called The Salton Sea, and it ended badly. The physics don't work, the economics don't work, the politics don't work. This project will almost certainly never happen, and honestly, that's probably a good thing, because sometimes the craziest ideas should just stay ideas. Final thoughts. What do you think about all this? Would you support pumping the ocean into the desert? Or does it sound like a recipe for disaster? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what people think. And if you found this story as crazy as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more mega projects that sound impossible.